Welcome to MomenToUs. I am Pastor Rebecca Great, the pastor mission developer for MomenToUs and the host for our weekly podcast. At MomenToUs, we believe that God is present with us in each and every single one of our moments. We believe that our stories are connected to God's story and to one another's stories. We believe that this connection and relationship changes our lives and our entire world. So before we begin, I invite you to take a deep breath in, to hold it while you count to 3, and then slowly release that breath. So welcome back, friends. It's been a few months since we've had a podcast. While we have been focusing on getting some more things up and running for more options for our in-person gatherings and getting our brand new book club up and running. And I will fill you in on that information in just a few minutes because I want to let you know that next week on Sunday, June 2nd, we will be starting a brand new podcast series called Reading Between the Lines. And we'll be in that podcast series all summer long. So each week, we are going to look more in depth at the story of some of the women found in the Bible. Because so often we hear the stories of people from the Bible and it focuses on people like Moses and Noah and David and Isaiah and Abraham and Isaac and on and on and on it goes. So this podcast series is not intending to say that the stories of the men in scripture aren't important. But we're going to focus on the stories of the women because we rarely hear from them or rarely hear how they fit into the overall story of what God has been doing as part of creation since before creation even existed. Now, because I think we can learn more about God and how to live out our faith by learning the stories of the women too. Some of the women that we are going to be learning about will be some names that you may be more familiar with. Women like Mary and Elizabeth and Ruth and Rebecca and Hagar and Sarah. But we're also going to learn about lots of other women that you may not be as familiar with. Women like Yael and Shifra and Pua and Miriam. Now, some of these stories will have portions of them that can be triggering for some of our listeners. Because in sharing these women's stories, we will need to mention things like violence and rape and child loss and abuse. Now, we will provide content warnings in the episode description and in our announcement posts. And we will also have content warnings in the episodes themselves, like right at the beginning, and then also nestled in the episode itself so you know what portion to skip. Because if listening to references to those things would cause you harm, I want you to skip either that portion of the episode or the entire episode. This is also an invitation for parents and guardians to listen to these episodes ahead of time before your children who are under 18 listen to them, to make sure that it is content you are comfortable with them hearing. If you need some additional support in how to have conversations with your youth around these things, please send me an email at dailymomentus@gmail.com, and I am happy to do my best to help facilitate those conversations. Even though portions of this podcast season will be challenging, I am so excited to share the stories of these women with you. So make sure that you are subscribed on your preferred podcasting platform so you don't miss next week's episode. Now, I mentioned earlier in this episode that we have been focusing on our in-person gatherings for the past few months. Because already in the month of May, we have resumed our one step at a time hikes and met for Brood Theology and kicked off our book club. It has been a very busy May. And since we've had such a long break, and I know we have had many new subscribers over the past few months, I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone what these events are, and then to let you know when the next gatherings for each of them will be. One step at a time are our hike and pray events. Now, for these, we gather at a local park and we do introductions before we start the hike. And then we hike one of the trails while we just talk and share our stories with one another and enjoy whatever nature has for us that day. And then we gather at the end to pray before we head off to whatever else our Saturdays need us to do. So the next one step at a time gathering will be on Saturday, June 8th, 2024. And we are gathering at Hogback Ridge Park in Sunbury, Ohio at 10 a.m. The trails at that park are pretty short, so there is a chance that we may end up hiking more than one trail together, kind of depending on everybody's energy and what our time limitations are for that day. Brood Theology is when we gather on a Sunday morning to talk about whatever is going on in our life or whatever we have watched or heard or read about in the news. And then we spend the time that we're together talking about how we can support one another or how we are called to respond to events happening in our world as people of faith. There is literally no agenda for these gatherings, and anyone is welcome to join us for as many of them as you want to. And if you haven't been to one for a while, these are easy events to drop in for. We are currently meeting at Java Central in Uptown Westerville about once a month, and our next gathering is on Sunday, June 9th at 10 a.m. We also gather for Bedtime BS or Bedtime Bible Study on a Zoom also about once a month. And right now we are focusing on the Gospel according to Mark, which is the oldest and the shortest of the 4 Gospels found in our Bibles. Our next gathering is tonight, Sunday, May 26, 2024. And for this session, we are going to be focusing on chapters 4, 5, and 6 in the Gospel according to Mark. If you have not been able to join us for one of the sessions yet, that's okay. We always start with a brief review to cover some of the basics from the previous couple of gatherings before we move on to make sure that everyone's on the same page. If you want to join us for that, please send me an email so I can get you the Zoom link ahead of time. So this month, we also began our book club. This summer, we are reading 4 different books, and each book has 3 different ways for how you can join us and be part of the book club. The first option is to read the book and then join us for our in-person discussion group. The second option is to read the book and then join us for our online book discussion on Zoom. And then the third option is to read the book and then join in a read-along on a website called The Storygraph. Now, the discussion groups are going to focus on the entire book as one whole big conversation. The read-along has questions built in for each individual chapter or section throughout the book. So if you want a shorter and broader discussion, then be a part of the discussion groups. And if you want a longer, more in-depth conversation, then join the read-along. And it is entirely possible to be a part of a discussion group and the read along, or you can come to both discussion groups and the read along, or you can pick and choose which ones work for your interests and your schedules. Now, the next book that we are reading together is titled Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies I've Loved by an author named Kate Bowler. There is more information about how to get connected on the book club page on our website, and I have direct linked to that page in the transcript for this episode, also on our website. We've also announced the book club several times on our social media pages, so you have an option to find it there as well. So like I said, it's been a busy May, and there is more information on the events page of our website. We cannot wait to see you at one of our in-person or digital events, or can just continue connecting with you on social media. Thank you for joining us for this week's podcast. We are looking forward to continuing growing with each of you and are so grateful that you continue to be a part of the Momentous community. I want to say thank you to our mission partners, the Southern Ohio Synod and the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. They have continued to be instrumental in continuing to make sure this ministry continues to grow. If you would like to support the ministry of Momentous, you can attend our in-person events and invite a friend to join you. You can engage with us online, and if you are able to give financially, you can visit our website and find out more information about how to donate electronically or how to mail checks directly to our Synod's secure P.O. box. Each one-time or recurring gift combines together to ensure the Momentous community continues to grow. Until our next podcast, remember to breathe deeply and that God is present with you every single moment.